Hey friends, I got a video for you today. This one took a considerable amount of work, so I hope you appreciate it. If not, then put that in the comments down below and leave a dislike. That's totally cool. What I'm going to do here today is walk you through each of the characters, their top 3 skills, and as part of that, and the major focus of this is which armor you should be building for which of the characters. That's all going to be in the description down below if you just want to see a quick reference of that. And if you have comments, input, differences of opinion, please let me know. If you want to see more of my face, please subscribe. And please like this video if you found it helpful. All right, let's start first. We're just going to go in order of how I played them. Not if you've watched my video on rankings, this is not in order of how they're ranked, just how I played them. So basically no specific order other than how much I like the character and the lore. Jumping right into Starlord. I'm going to walk you through each of the characters. I'm going to walk you through each of the skills that I think are best. I'm not going to walk you through all of their skills because this video would be eternal. So if you have other inputs or thoughts or questions, let me know. Number 1 for Starlord is his problem solver. So basically how I rank these are almost entirely based on pure damage. Why? Because when you level up the skill, you'll see this one. See how this one goes from 1080 to 1121? That's like a 41% increase. Space Pirate's a little less. That one is around a 29% increase. So the ones that have the most damage get the most benefits from the armor. And I'm going to walk you through how that is on my Black Widow. I figured this out way too late for Starlord, so his is just kind of dead in the water, and I'll work on him later. But number 1, problem solver. It's not actually the most damage, but it is hands down my most used skill. Now you could correlate these all with the cooldowns and their stamina inputs. I really wouldn't worry about that too much. Technically you could be using other skills more, but you really want hyper focused mega damage on one attack that you have all of your investment into a character. That's candidly my biggest advice. You want to be doing mega multi damage as quickly and as fast as possible. I think it's helpful in Dimensional Duel, certainly helpful in Omega War, and it's hands down helpful in Dark Zone, both against bosses and in PvP. You just want to kill people super fast when you're not on autoplay. That's really where the end game content is. So that's why Problem Solver ranks number 1 for me. Big damage, and it also moves you around, so you're hard to hit. So for me, those two together make it number 1. So Laser Eraser is actually higher damage, so you're totally fine going with this one if you care about that. Also note that the guard break is medium on Laser Eraser and low on Problem Solver. So if you want Elemental Cannon as number 1, that also makes sense. And then last but not least is Space Pirate, coming in a notable 3rd. So the other two you could go either way. Then what you're going to do, so this is if you're a new player, whenever you're ranking up, as soon as you complete the first mission in World in New Stark City, after you finish the tutorial, it's going to give you a choice of 3 armors. And if you watch my last video all about Iron Man's, you'll know that it doesn't always give you the one that you want straight off the bat. So this is to give you some good options and then to help you plan going forward. That's basically the premise of this. So jumping into costumes, the ones you want for him, for Problem Solver is Sheriff. Right here, Problem Solver skill +6. And note that when you get this to 6 stars, that +6 is a lot of damage. You saw this one was going up by 40%. Elemental Cannon's about 50%. So you're getting an increase here of 240% damage. That's a pretty big deal. Also, why you want to be building these and forgetting about regional gear pieces, because it's trash and you're never going to get them. Just embrace it. One day you might, but by then they'll probably be, by the time you actually get them, they'll probably be power crept. So just forget about it. So these you can get right off the bat pretty early, within a couple of days of playing, you can get the whole set for this. So Sheriff is Rapidfire Spin. Laser Eraser is Annihilation. That's this one, Elemental Cannon. And then your Space Pirate Burning Multi-Blast is Black Armor. Now if you're a new player or you're somebody who's waiting to play a global launch, this will come out right before a global launch. Note that forget about the cosmetics. You don't care about that at all, because for any character, you can easily come in here to Hero Info. You click on the cosmetics up here. By doing costumes is how you do the cosmetics. Your actual armor is here. So you note that I don't actually even have any of these equipped as my cosmetic on my character. Cosmetics is entirely in this screen. You can go buy headpiece, body piece, hands, and feet, or you can go by themes. That's typically how I like to do them. You can scroll through each of the different armor themes. You can even just have the ones that you own, which is what you click off the see all box. So I'm not going to get into like which ones I think look sexiest, because I think that is wholly up to you. Although I have the best taste because, you know, I do. Just kidding. So that's Starlord. So kind of a lot of background there. Just note that I think Sheriff and Annihilation are your two choices. Choose one of those. Black Widow. And you're going to see how this makes a big difference here when I get into Black Widows. I have her stuff ranked up to level 3 as the lowest. And it'll be based off of whatever the lowest one is, I think. We'll jump into this real quick here. So you'll note that she has a 3-star boot. It's because I've been farming for boots. You'll notice how I have like a couple of different options of the exact same piece, looking for the high rolls on the substats on the bonus options. But this one's Firearm Expert skill +4. Note that these ones are also +4 because it's based off of the lowest one that you have available. So if I was to look at these in a vacuum, these ones actually would be plus. I actually think 4 just stays the same at +4, and then it goes to +5, +6 for 5 stars, 6 stars. So the 2s, I don't think I have one in here, but here's a 2. This one's also +4. So anyway, just note that you're getting +4 on these, which is really quite good. And then the skill, so you can see here it'll show in parentheses. The number 1, hands down, no question, no holds barred for me, is Firearm Expert. Though some people really like Concentrated Fire, which I'll show next. But you can see here, this is 1275 damage at level 19. Widow's Sting, Concentrated Fire is really close to that. And it goes off really quickly. It does send you backwards, and it is a multi-hit. So if that's what you care about, that's pretty solid. It's also Guard Break Medium, whereas this one's Guard Break Low. But this one will track the enemy around as they move. So by the time it actually goes off, it will actually fire at that location. Whereas this one will just shoot in front wherever the enemy is at the beginning of the skill is where all of the blasts will go. So that's just kind of why I've put the other one above. It was nerfed also too, so it was actually better before. Last but not least, Trained Assassin Quick Step Strike. I really like this one. It will keep hitting the same target, or it will bounce around and hit multi-targets, which makes it a really good flexible skill. Cooldown's 12 seconds as opposed to these ones are like 18, 20 seconds. So, you know, technically if you were to go off of the cooldowns, these ones are there, but I find that you're usually just waiting for her ultimate skill gauge to recover anyway, so I wouldn't really stress about her cooldowns whatsoever. Okay, let's jump into which costume sets those are. Collection, boom. Here you want Red Widow. That's going to give you the Firearm Expert, the Sniper Shot. The next one is Yelena Belova. That's going to give you Widow's Sting. And then if you can't get either of those, then the backup to this is Original, which is the worst looking costume set in my opinion, but this will give you Trained Assassin skill. Boom, done. Next. Storm is the next up on our list. Storm, a lot of these are they have 2 good options, and the third one I've just included just because, almost entirely because Iron Man, if you watched that video, didn't have the 2 that I wanted. It just had, so I had to find a third as a backup. Skills for her. Number 1, no holds barred, is Weather Witch Electrocution. This is all of her damage. Everything else is kind of helpful, but you want the single target damage, 910%. This is hands down the highest for her. The shock is pretty good. It's not the best. Burn is the best, but shock is pretty reasonable. And then the next one for her is pressure manipulation. Just a lot of damage. Not this one, the one I haven't even unlocked yet, but does 627%. Not amazing, but guard break medium. It does a whole bunch of splash damage. The animation for this one's long, so it is a notable second. And then lightning attack is number 3. This is a bunch of damage all around her. It's still the best one, even better than this other one. This one does go, and then it kind of repulses out. So the animation is quite long. Not super great in PvP context, and only good against certain PvE bosses. So for her, I think, I honestly, no holds barred for her. It's not even really a question. I would try to get Weather Witch, which for her, if we come to collections, is 80s. So 80s gives you Weather Witch. Pressure Manipulation is Goddess of Thunder. You see me checking the other screen to just double check on all these. Pressure Manipulation, that's the one with the tornadoes. And then the last one is Thunder Crash, which is Queen of Wakanda, which is actually my favorite. Costume really solid. I just don't love like the little froofy sleeves, so for that one I usually go to Extraordinary, is just the hands. So in case you wanted that info, I think there's another one that does it as well. X-Men uniform also is no frills, so you can click through that. Anyway, no, I know you guys didn't really care. This is not a video about cosmetics, but there you go. And the 80s also doesn't. So there's a good mix for her, so you can get some good flexibility. She has some really cool cosmetics. All right, Spider-Man. Spider-Man, in case you're one, like some people really like him because his webs are only for him. They are pretty good crowd control. He's kind of fun. He's tricky. His dodge, you can overcap his dodge to just avoid attacks entirely for forever. There's like one player right now who has an amazing Spider-Man who's really hard to kill, but it's just, as you dig into his skills, the percent damage is pretty lame. He doesn't have a lot of synergy with his other attacks. He doesn't get a lot of buffs. So I think he's kind of a team player for PvE content and reasonably good in dimensional duel, but not amazing. But if you are going to play him, you do want Spider-Bola and you do want Shot Put, which is the second one, for 840% damage. Pushes the enemies back, medium guard break, and it does do that 840% damage, and it does go in a circle around you, so it will hit other people, even though it doesn't show it there. That one's 840% damage, which is like hands down his highest. So that's number one. Number two is Web Shooter Mastery. This one's quite nice. It goes a whole bunch in a big burst. This also does the cocoons for 4 seconds and does that web, which reduces accuracy rate, and movement speed, which again, accuracy rate is not the chance to hit, that's hit rate. Accuracy rate is instead like how high they hit on the dice rolls that determine how high the damage is. So in 643% damage, it will track against multiple targets, and it is a fairly good attack that you get fairly early on, so this is actually a reasonably good option, especially in the early game. Last but not least, Spider Sense Combat is the very first one. I keep scrolling down looking. I had to go through him for a while, and then I think this is the one, Tumble Web Shot. Yeah, this is 405% damage. As you can see, not super great options for him. And some people will be like, well, the spider bots are so awesome, or the holographic projection. Yes, they are, but the boost you're getting, the percent boost, is so lame that it's not worth investing in for the armor. So that's just, that's what this is all based off of. What is going to give you the best bang for your buck? And it's hands down the big damage attacks. All right, so for him, number one is Superior Spider-Man, which is going to be for that Spider-Bola. Next is the Web Shooter Mastery. Again, a really good option, Spider-Man Noir. And then the last but not least, and actually certainly least, is Spider-Punk with that Spider Sense combat skill. So for him, really two reasonable options, a third less great option. Jumping into Doctor Strange, and I know that this is like a fast whirlwind power through video, but I feel like it's the content is pretty succinct, and I'm just trying to get you guys this information as quickly as possible. Okay, so for him, Gateway Summoning, Gateway Launch. This one is the most damage, and we want actually the second one. You get this one really pretty quickly. I think you get this one at like level 29, so this is certainly a really good option, and it is the one I've ranked number one. It is a lot of damage. This kills me the most in PvE, in PvP, sorry, and it does really good damage in PvE as well to multiple enemies, a little bit like Black Widow's sniper shot will go through multiple enemies, and the animation is pretty quick on it as well, so it's a really reasonable option. It does only go in one direction, so it's really easy to dodge. So if that's something you're really concerned about for PvP, then Rings of Raggadorr is probably the better option for you. And this one, I think we want Ring Repulsion. It takes me a second to find the right one. So this one does the zap, and he will actually move around as he does this one. 723% damage, it's pretty good. And then the last but not least is the Book of Vishanti, which is really quite brutal. This one's super obnoxious if you're playing against it. Not that one. This one. This one has highest guard break as well, and they will follow you around. It's annoying and I hate it, but it will kill you. It's rather quite good. So he actually has 3 reasonably good options. So he has some good buff skills and stuff like that, but not worth investing in your armor, in my opinion. The only one that's going to have him for is Captain America, and we'll get to him last. Because he is kind of in a world of his own. Kind of a totally different character. Okay, so number 1, you want God of Magic. This is going to be for that focused blast or that gateway summoning. Next is going to be Defenders for the 7 Rings of Raggadorr. This is that concentrated shock blast that will follow people around. And then last but not least is Book of Vishanti, and that is going to be for 1602. Again, don't worry about the cosmetics. You're just trying to get a full set here as you farm throughout the game, and that's what you're going to focus on as you build your characters. Next but not last at all is Captain Marvel. For her, it makes a huge difference. She has a couple of attacks that are just like bonkers value. So much. Like the percent damage is just so high. And her ultimate makes a big deal. I have ignored the ultimates for everyone else, but her ultimate increases her attack. And it continues to increase her attack for 20 seconds. She gets debuff immunity for 20 seconds. And I think as you increase this, the percentage goes up as well as the damage. So this is going to factor into my recommendations for her just because her ultimate makes such a major difference in how her character plays. I actually think ultimate skill gauge is probably the main focus you want to be building for those bonus stats. But onto the actual attacks. So first, and one side note, I would not be focused on New Stark City for her to increase the ultimate. I think that percent damage increase is good, but not amazing. It's not extending the duration, so I wouldn't superbly worry about that all that much. And the base damage here actually isn't nearly as much as these other attacks, which I'm going to get to in just a second. Photon Blast, hands down, number 1, no holds bar. And you want Carol Core, which is somewhere. Oh, sorry, that's the armor. So Photon Focus is the one you want. So here you can see this one is actually a focused blast that does damage. It does take a little while in terms of its focus. The cooldown is really long and the stamina is a lot, but holy crap, it does a lot of damage. I think you saw Black Widow is like the next closest is like 1200% level 15. This is level 1 unupgraded 1500 damage. This gets up into the 2300 neighborhood. This is your mass damage. This is what's going to get you the most damage on PvE bosses, to get you those Omega cards, to get you ranked number 1 in those prime target fights, kill opponents in Big Bad Omega War. She's not the best Omega War character anyway, so I wouldn't be super focusing on that, but she does just do this amazing amount of damage. Her next one, Kree Combat. And you can see I haven't even actually played her, so I will. This list might be slightly subject to change, but again, we're just looking for the buffs to mass damage here. She does require a lot of stamina, and her cooldowns really are eternal. But this one is 846% damage. She slams down to the ground, gets high guard break. Really useful skill. Last but not least is actually her energy impact. Now this one's slightly different from the other ones. You want the cosmic recharge on this one. So this one comes down, does 222% damage. That's kind of trash. But as you unlock this one, you'll see this go up. But the recovers ultimate skill gauge by 10%. That's going to go up. And you're going to be able to use her ultimate more often. And that's a really big deal. So that's really kind of the focus from her. I think it's a big kind of notable exception to the typical going for mass damage. So if you want to kind of mix it up, that's where I'd go. Now for her, you want to come into costumes, and she, number 1, that massive damage one for her is Carol Core. I already gave this one away. quite further down here. Photon Blast skill. Next is going to be Secret Wars. This is going to be for that Kree power where she jumps and smashes them into the ground. So that one gets pretty good. And then last but not least is just Classic. That's that Energy Impact Cosmic Recharge. All right. I already did a video on him, but I just kind of want to retouch on this because it is a huge bummer. The number one attack that I really wanted was the Tactical Satellite Ion Cannon. I've been killed by it a ton of times. It's one of his few attacks where he like directs where the energy is going to go instead of having to jump in there. And it's certainly the best attack that does that. And it does AoE damage. You can do it from the air onto people on the ground, and I was killed by it multiple times, probably like 8 times last night in Dark Zone, so it's annoying. So just quickly running through his Unibeam is the number 1, and you will want here the Focal Energy Shot. I think this one, 933% damage. Tactical Satellite is the one that I wanted. And you want the Ion Cannon for that one. And then Nanite Plasma is the Spin Blade. This last one, 668% damage. Bleed is meaningless, honestly, in the game. It like decreases your opponent's ability to heal, but that's really only being used in Dark Zone, Dimensional Duel. They could have HP recovery, but it's of meaningless and trivial value. So cool. Really, for him, you only get 2 options, though. For some reason, he does not have an outfit that gives you a boost to that Tactical Satellite. So instead, you are restricted to just Superior Iron Man for that Unibeam, which is what I suggest. I didn't get that when I was playing, though, so I chose Marvel Now, which gave me that Nanite Plasma skill. And that's why I'm giving you 3 options so that you can choose, but also you might not be given those right at the beginning. All right, last but not least, probably the most complex of all the characters. Playing with him has been enjoyable through level 5, and I'm looking forward to continuing playing with Captain America. He plays totally differently. He gets that special Captain America bar that activates special abilities. It's pretty cool. But for him, his skills are weird. Captain's Leadership is actually my number 1 recommendation. Totally different from all the other characters. But getting this barrier equal to 18% of max HP for 10 seconds is awesome in PvE content. It's awesome in PvP content. It's just super, super solid. Helps everyone on your team, and it makes Cap, in my opinion. So this is where I would actually focus number 1. But playing through with him, that might feel like a bummer to you, and you just might feel like he's super slow because he doesn't do a lot of damage. Well, that's where you're going to want Sentinel of Liberty. The last spin, Indomitability, does 834% damage, spins at a high speed, damages nearby enemies, and strikes down the ground and knock back attacked enemies. This is a big deal for him because playing through with him, from everyone I've heard, is a bit of a chore, even more than Starlord. He just takes a lot of work. He doesn't do that much damage, so worth noting there. And last but not least is Hero's Duty. This one also does a good bit of damage. For this one, we are looking for Mighty Combo, which is this one, 668% damage. So not as much. It strikes multiple times, multiple enemies. Doesn't really do anything else except for some medium guard break. And again, I'm not really judging these cooldowns and staminas because I just don't think they matter as much in my experience in playing the game. So you might have a different perspective, though. Last but not least are his costumes. So number 1, you're going to want Secret Wars. That is going to boost that shield ability where he gives all of your himself and all of his teammates an overshield. He also has some other cool abilities in there that you can use for PvP where he heals himself or gives himself back some energy or defense. So pretty good. Then Sentinel of Liberty is World War II. This is if you want the mass damage out of that spin attack. And then Hero's Duty is Shield Director. We'll get you that final bashing attack that you can do multiple hits with that does 600 plus damage. So anyway, that's my rundown of all the characters. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, good luck out there. Let me know what you're thinking about the game, and have a fun time out there gaming. Bye for now.